being able to go out to a bar where you can see people who are similar to you and have your identity validated is just like not a given. Going to a bar is not like really safe for like queer people because it's more of like you are like a spectacle within that space.
I was ending up feeling awful at the end of any night that I would go out.
The fourth dude that like tries to come up behind you to dance with you, it's like, fuck off.
It's almost every single night.
Experiences of like kissing a girl and like having men like recording it, which is like really gross.
I didn't want to put up with bullshit, and I wasn't gonna let someone like poke his boner into my body several times. You know, security gets involved, it's really awkward, people are shouting at each other, it's just this hostile environment.
I feel like sometimes I just get like very frustrated that like I don't have a space that I can go to where I will be respected. My name is Callie. I am a soon-to-be graduated senior at UW-Madison, and I am studying social work. I know that I definitely identified as like bi when I first started identifying with like queer identities, but I've come to more generally identify with like queer. I lived with like a bunch of straight girls for like most of my undergrad until this year, and like they would like to go to places like more so like frat parties and like freshman sophomore year. And like I just wouldn't want to go out because I knew that I wouldn't feel comfortable in those spaces, but also that like I couldn't act out on like feelings that I had towards people that I found attractive, because if I were to like dance with a girl or someone who looked feminine, then that would be like me inadvertently coming out to my friends. So I mean, it's like really important to have like nightlife and spaces where it's like specifically like for queer identified people, because it's like that's one of the few places in Madison that like you can feel like you can be yourself. Queer pressure is still like a relatively new like event that I've been going to too, but it seems to be just like a bunch of queer people who have come up with this idea of, at like different bars, like a pop-up like this is going to be a queer space. All queer identified people are welcome to come and they're allies.
My name is Akawa. I am one of the co-founders of Queer Pressure, DJ. Like part of our mission is to like support like queer artists, queer musicians, queer people who want to party and have a good time, queer DJs, and create like a community that asks for more from people, specifically regarding nightlife.
I am Joey. I go by a number of different names, but mostly a nightlife DJ boyfriend, and I am the other co-founder of Queer Pressure with Sarah. We actually do create a space that is like pure magic for a lot of us who go.
We don't have like the one homogenous idea of who should be at a gay bar, of like the skinny blonde boy with like a six-pack. You know, like we work with queer people, and queer people come in all different sizes, and queer people are not all white.
We are really intentional about representation, about having people of color, about having women, about having trans, whether that's artists or people behind the bar, the person who greets you at the door. So I started DJing when I actually graduated from Madison, and it came out of frustration. I just needed an alternative. That's what started me into throwing my own parties and becoming a DJ.
I was sitting with my best friend Angela, and we were talking about how we felt all this pressure around like queerness here. So I was talking about how I thought that my parties were boring, and I was like, people come to them, they're fun, but like it's just like not my thing. I want to do something else. And when I was talking to them, they're like, I think that someone is doing that already. And they're like, you should check out DJ Boyfriend.
When we met up to talk about what we were each doing, we realized we had a lot of the same goals and what we wanted. To expand and make sort of this queer utopic escape.
Definitely safer spaces like Queer Pressure are like so important because there are so little of them.
People interpret safe space to mean in a temporarily identified environment in which you will not have hostility and or epithets directed at you. that you will be able to find community and a sense of belonging and be able to freely talk about aspects of yourself, your identity, and your experience without people suggesting that you should not exist, that there should be some sort of political response to your existence, your mere existence. My name is Warren Shear, and I'm an Assistant Dean of Students and Director for the LGBT Campus Center, soon to be renamed Gender and Sexuality Campus Center. There is a benefit to the safe space. So being in community with folks who identify similarly can have a restorative, can have a healthy effect, particularly when you encounter so much negativity with regard to the way in which your identity is interpreted by mainstream culture or majoritized people.
I've never had a bad experience like queer pressure, just like people just being like very like respectful, very like wholesome, very loving. And it's just like you don't have to like put up like a front. Like you don't have to like try and pass as something that, you know, you have to in other spaces, which is really cool.
I mean, I think really what makes queer pressure special is that we're hardliners about what our politics and beliefs are in every stage and every part of the process. If they have an all-male white bar staff, we bring in our own bartenders, or we ask them to staff specific people so that it's not such a homogenous group on that night. We brief the bouncers. We talk to them about, you know, there's going to be trans people, gender nonconforming people. You don't need to make any comments on people's IDs as you check them.
Having the bathrooms like, you know, gender neutral is like a huge thing.
If there's even one person, you know, being non-consensual, they're touching, it like really throws the whole vibe off. And like we have like an awesome group of friends and us who are like willing to go talk to someone, like, hey, like I noticed that you just bumped into that person 4 times and it seems like you're trying to touch them. Like, do you know this person?
Going to that space and having that huge part of anxiety for a lot of people taken care of is like a huge thing that shows that like this space is welcoming, this space is like safer.
Safe spaces, they inherently have value because they are honoring the dignity and respect that all people have.
She's like, I want to do this thing, and I think that you would like it too. Like, I want to make a space where like some dude isn't shoving his boner in your hip, like, and it's gonna be cool, and like you're probably gonna appreciate it too.
There's liberation in queer community spaces. Like I can be all of who I am in a society that stigmatizes me and tells me that as a man that I am not allowed to wear heels, I'm not allowed to wear makeup, to wear dresses or anything that is considered hyper feminine and associated with women. In those spaces, I can do and be all of that, and that is liberating.
Just the ability to go out and to not have to worry about like a million and one things while you're out and just have fun and like let loose like everyone else gets to do is just like such a great feeling and like such a great like privilege to have.